Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
We can read these verses together. Narayanam Namaskritya Devim Saraswatim
Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudi
Tato Jayam Budirayet
Tam Swakatah Krishna
Punyashravana
Yantas
Yantastahi Abhadrani Vidhuno Satam Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha
Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyo
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining the session today. So we'll continue the 18th chapter. So last week we covered up to 17th verse. So in the first 10 verses, briefly Maharaj Parīkṣit's birth, death, and his dealings with Kali Purusha were described. His birth is great because he was protected by Lord. His death is also great because he was hearing the holy name at the time of death, and he was hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of his spiritual master, completely rapt attention without food and sleep for 7 days. So it was glorious. And out of his death was created Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the torch, which is the Mahapuran, which is the greatest of all literature. That's why his death was also great, significant. And he was single-handedly able to withhold Kali's influence in his kingdom. That is the remark of a great leader who is able to stop the influence of Kali in his entire kingdom while he was ruling. And then, so next we discussed last week the eagerness of sages to hear Krishna Katha, because we discussed that it is very important that the speaker is very qualified. Qualified means he is very expert in the subject and pure at heart, and the audience should be eager. Then only, and if the subject is something like Srimad Bhagavatam, the best exchange happens, because so in this case, Parīkṣit Maharaj was this. He is the audience, and Sukadeva Goswami was the speaker. Both are very qualified, and Parīkṣit Maharaj was extremely eager to learn about Krishna. So because of this, the great scripture came out of this exchange, right? The greatest scripture in existence. So that we discussed about those aspects, eagerness of sages to hear Krishna Katha. Now,
Prabhuji, question, Prabhuji. Usually we have seen that many a times when the classes are given, either the speaker is very enthusiastic and the audience is not. And also there are situations where it is vice versa. So in this situation, how should we behave? Somebody who has gone through this formal training of attending the Bhakti Vaibhav, how should we be? We must be behaving when the speaker is not very enthusiastic, or when the speaker is enthusiastic, but the audience is not. So what's your comment on that?
Yeah. So if we are audience, so we should only see what we can do. If we are in the audience, we should be very attentive to the messages of Srimad Bhagavatam, because Bhagavatam is Krishna, and whoever is speaking doesn't matter. Think of it as Krishna's mercy that is coming through the vehicle of the speaker, and hear with full attention. That will lead to Krishna's mercy upon us. Yeah? Krishna will empower us with the knowledge and transform our heart and bring us closer to him. Okay? So that is the effect of hearing with attention and humility, and ask valid questions during the conversation. If we are the speaker, then again understand that this is, even though I am speaking, it's nothing of my capability. It is Krishna's. It is the scripture that is what people want to hear, and the speaker should become a perfect vehicle to basically give the message, right? So it is, the speaker should always be humble and always understand it is the Srimad Bhagavatam that is attracting the audience, and they should do the job of a peon to just send the message appropriately. So that is what we should see. I mean, irrespective of if the speaker is doing the best job, if we are in the right consciousness as a audience, we get the benefit, because ultimately it is the mercy of Krishna that is flowing through that person, right? He is the vehicle, and the subject is the most important thing. So that's my understanding. So irrespective of who the speaker is, we should attentively hear, right? If we are not able to get the inspiration, then it is okay to hear from somebody else who inspires you. That is fine, right? So we should be very inspired, and we should be very eager and very humbly receive this message, because the power of message is very transformative, right?
Yes, sure.
So before beginning the glorification, or the beginning, so then the section 24 to 31 is the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam narrations. So Suta Goswami, who is the speaker, expresses his humility in the next 5 verses, and he glorifies Krishna as part of this before he begins the conversation, right? That is because he wants to inform the audience about the subject before he delves into the subject, by glorifying the subject of the topic he is going to discuss, which is Lord Krishna himself. So we'll read these verses. Suta Uvacha
Suta Uvacha
Aho Vayam Janma Bhrutodya Hasma
Aho Vayam Janma Protodya Hasma.
Somebody, I don't know who is it. Okay. Yeah, now it's better. Vriddhanuvrityapi viloma jata
Vriddhanavrityapi viloma jata
Daushkulyamadhim vidhunoti sighram
Daushkulyamadhim vidhunoti sighram
Mahatsamanam vidhana yoga
Mahatsamanam adhana yogaha.
Okay, somebody's voice is, I don't know if I'm hearing or others are also hearing like that.
No,
Yes, Prabhuji,
we are
I'm
also-
also able to hear that disturbance, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Okay. Let's read the verse. Anybody, please?
Sri Suta Goswami said, "O God, although we are born in mixed caste, we are still promoted in birthright simply by serving and following the great who are advanced in knowledge. Even by conversing with such great souls, one can without delay cleanse oneself on all disqualifications resulting from lower paths.
Sutta Goswami was not born in a Brahmana family. That is what he's expressing here. Even though he was not by birth, he is born in a Brahmana family, but because the glorification of Krishna is such a great subject, by hearing the glorification from Sukadeva Goswami, who is a pure devotee, he was able to get the qualification to actually speak the message of Srimad Bhagavatam to, again, people who are great sages in Naimisharanya, which is again, so as a student, he was not disqualified because he was not a Brahmana by birth. By birth, I'm saying. By qualification, he is a Brahmana because, he has the eagerness, the qualities of a Brahmana. But by birth, he was not Brahmana. But he had the qualification because Srimad Bhagavatam is such a purifying subject. Anybody and everybody can hear it. There is no restriction, qualification. For example, a particular subject may not be learned by a person because it may require certain level of, mathematics or, some other subject understanding. But Srimad Bhagavatam is something that anybody and everybody who has the eagerness and, the spirit of humility, they can learn, right? And so there is no disqualification irrespective of their birth. Similarly, anybody, whoever he may be, if he is conversant with the philosophy of Krishna and the Krishna consciousness, has the the mercy of the Lord, he can definitely preach also. There is no disqualification for who cannot preach. So one can be preacher to great Brahmanas and sages by just being an expert Krishna conscious devotee. At the same time, one can learn, having not born in Brahmana family, with his, because Srimad Bhagavatam is such a great subject. So we have seen in the history of, in the history of Srimad Bhagavatam Katha, we heard about, or even Chaitanya Charitamrita, we heard about how Lord Chaitanya made Haridas Thakur the Namacharya, irrespective of his birth in a low caste, right? So bhakti is, the main point is bhakti is all powerful. It doesn't look for qualifications. If you were to perfect your life in any other path, for example, just for the matter of even liberation, right? Even if you take to Shankaracharya Sampradaya, right? Adi Shankaracharya, the minimum qualification is you have to first get out of cities and become a sannyasi, right? You don't speak about liberation without considering, without even, renouncing your, family life, for example. There is no qualification. You have to, the beginning is becoming renunciant from family life. Similarly, many other sampradayas, if they are really worth it, other than Vaishnava sampradayas, they all require very high renunciation and knowledge also. But it is only bhakti that will allow anybody and everybody to become the best of all sages, or the best of the devotee, because it has minimum requirement. The whole path depends on the mercy of the Lord, and Lord is all merciful, and we have that support of the Lord that can like add on to all your disqualifications. And that is why bhakti is not mainly, if a person perfects his life by bhakti, it is not because of his greatness, it is because of the support of the Lord. Right? For example, you may not be able to cross the road as a child of 5 years, but if you hold the hand of your father, you can easily cross anything. Busiest roads also you can cross, because there is the support system, right? So bhakti works like that, because you have your father's support in everything you do, you have no limitation. Your limitation is the power of your father's powers. That is, and being Krishna being all powerful, naturally there is no limit to what you can achieve as a bhakta, right? So it's all about confidence, not in you, but confidence in the power of Lord. So that is the distinction of devotion service compared to any other process. There is no comparison to any other process, right? That is the process of surrender. That is the process of bhakti. And that is the only valid path in Kali Yuga. We'll discuss those in other verses.
Sota Goswami did not take his birth in Brahman family. He was born in family of mixed caste or an uncultured low family. But because of higher association like Sri Sukadeva Goswami and the great pieces of Naimsaranya, certainly the disqualification of inferior birth was washed out. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu followed this principle in pursuance of the Vedic usages, and by his transcendental association, he elevated many low-born or those disqualified by birth or action to the status of devotional service and established them in the position of acharyas.
Yeah, so Lord Chaitanya did not see any qualification of birth.
Sota Goswami learned the science of Krishna from great rishis and authorities like Sukadeva Goswami, Sukadeva and Vyasadeva, and he was so qualified that even the sages of Naimisaranya eagerly wanted to hear from him the science of Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Doesn't require any qualification other than the knowledge and realization of Krishna. This
verse definitely proves that Srila Sukadeva Goswami did not refuse to teach Sota Goswami about the transcendental science, and nor did the sages of Naimisharanya refuses to hear lessons from him because of his inferior birth. This means that thousands of years ago, there was no bar to learning or preaching the transcendental science because of inferior birth. The rigidity of the so-called caste system in Hindu society became prominent within only 100 years or so, when the number of Dvijabandhus or disqualified men in the families of higher caste increased.
Now, this is the real problem because of which today's caste system is prominent. So, as people who given up Brahmanical culture became quite prominent in the society because of lack of following Vedic culture and understanding the Vedic culture properly. Because of that, it only takes 1 or 2 generations to completely lose the culture. And that's what happened. When that happened, people just followed namesake caste system. And that is when everything broke, right? That is why many people in the West also, consider this caste system as a very bad thing out of India. But actually, that's not the original Vedic culture. Anybody asks, sometimes people ask about this, In fact, they blame Krishna as the one who created this caste system, because Chaturvanyam Maya system, Gunakarma Vibhagasya. So Krishna says, I only created all these 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. They think, but they do not understand it is not by janma, it is by karma, right? It's by guna, right? Guna karma vibhagasya. So because of that lack of understanding, people misunderstand Krishna, misunderstand Vedic society, Vedic culture. So it is our duty to actually clarify what that means, because this is one of the misconceptions about India. Right? People have a lot of misconceptions about Indian culture, and it is our duty to actually clarify, especially those in Krishna consciousness who are educated and knowledgeable about this. Otherwise, Vedic culture is the best. Compared, we have seen all the other cultures. The most accommodating, most, most elevating. That's the reason the whole world tried to conquer India, because it is the richest in every way, right? When you are worshipping the best, everything is naturally provided. And so everyone in the world, all the countries wanted to conquer India. Now we are left with nothing. So we have to revere our culture. That's what is going to bring everything else. Right? This is the source of our.
Such is the power of pure devotees of the Lord. The Ganga's water is accepted as pure, and one can become purified after taking a bath in the water of the Ganga. But as far as the great devotees of the Lord are concerned, they can purify a degraded soul even by being seen by the low-born. And what to speak of association? Lord of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to purify the whole atmosphere of the polluted world by sending qualified preachers all over the world. And it remains with the Indians to take up this task scientifically and thus do the best kind of humanitarian work. The mental diseases of the present generation are more accurate than bodily disease. It is quite fit and proper to take up the preaching of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world without delay. Mahatmanam
Abhidhana.
Mahatmanam Abhidhana also means dictionary of great devotees or a book full of the words of great devotees. Such a dictionary of the words of great devotees and those of the Lord are in the Vedas and allied lectures, specifically Srimad Bhagavatam.
A few important points mentioned here. So here you can see here, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to purify the whole atmosphere of the polluted world by sending the qualified preachers all over the world. And it remains with the Indians to take up the task scientifically and thus do the best kind of humanitarian work. So we know this verse, right? Prithvityache Nagaradigrama Sarvatra Pachara Amara Nama. Lord Chaitanya says, my name will be spread. At some point in future, already it is happening in a big way. Lord Chaitanya's name and fame will be spread in each village and town. Prithvityache means not just Indian villages and towns. It is in all villages and towns of all over the world, wherever there is a human being. Could be in Africa, Asia, Europe, America, North, South, everywhere. When Lord Chaitanya predicted that, how will that manifest? It will manifest when there is a powerful preacher who would send his students to across the world and set up these centers of preaching. Right? That is what Prabhupada did. So whatever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted, that was manifest in the time of Srila Prabhupada. Right? So you can also say directly, when Chaitanya said that, it meant that qualified preachers were sent all over the world. Right? That is the actual physical implementation of detail of the statement of Lord Chaitanya. So that is what Prabhupada mentioned here. Right? This is the implementation of what Lord Chaitanya's statement is. Because it is a duty of all of us specifically to actually outreach and share this message, because Kali Yuga is very troublesome and people suffer with a lot of mental and psychological diseases. So it is actual service to help them. This is the actual help we can do. This, yeah. So, and also there is glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam as a dictionary of great devotees, because it contains the history and detailed descriptions of the stories and pastimes of great devotees, which will help us understand the path back to Krishna through the lives of these and the lessons of these devotees. Kutah punargranata namatasya.
Punargranato na
matasya
Mahattamaikanta parayanasya.
Mahatamaikanta Parayanasya
Yonanta shaktir bhagavan ananto.
Antasaktir Bhagavanto
Mahadgunatvad yamananta mahu. Yeah, so in the previous verse, Suta Goswami expressed his disqualification to preach. Right now, he glorifies the holy name of the Lord and the greatness of the Supreme Lord. Yeah, he's just setting the context before he speaks that I am nothing, Lord is the greatest, and His holy name is the most powerful. Okay, he's just setting the context in these five verses before actual Bhagavatam begins. Yeah, please read, Prabhu.
And what to speak of those who are under the direction of the great devotees, chanting the holy name of the Unlimited, who has unlimited potency. The personality of Godhead, unlimited in potency and transcendental by attributes, is called Ananta, unlimited.
What to speak of those who are under the direction of great devotees? They are the most fortunate people, he's saying. There is nothing as great as getting the shelter of a pure devotee in this material world, because that is the most rarest thing in the material world, in the entire material universe, not only this world. And above, on top of that, is the ability to, or the opportunity to chant the holy name of the Lord. Even though there are so many Vaishnava Sampradayas, not everybody expresses the importance of chanting as much. So there may be Sampradayas that express, the chanting of Vishnu Sahasranama, that is very good. And we have 90% of our sadhana is, chanting. So in a way, it is extremely focused. So this is the greatest fortune, he is saying. What to speak of those? What to speak of those means they are the greatest, most fortunate people, right? Who has the shelter of a great devotee, pure devotee, and has the opportunity to chant the holy name, right? Because Lord himself, whose name is being chanted, is unlimited. Ananta is just glorifying the Lord, right? Yeah, please read.
And to answer these false logicians, Srimad Bhagavatam asserts that one who chants the holy name of the Lord under the direction of a pure devotee can at once get free from the disadvantages due to a lower caste birth.
So this is Prabhupada, glorifying. One more thing is, one should not even consider the birth of, or the, whether the spiritual master is in a Brāhmaṇa born, one should not consider those things. Do not apply. Because they are devotees means they are empowered by the Lord. Especially if their spiritual master means they are fully empowered by the Lord. So we should not ever consider, oh, this is American spiritual master, this is Indian spiritual master, this is born in this caste, that caste. All those should be avoided. And now coming to this point, so as holy name is glorified across all the Puranas, specifically in the statements of Mahabhagavatas in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so that is mentioned here. One who chants the holy name under the direction of a pure devotee can at once get free from the disadvantage of due to lower birth. Yeah, immediately. So this is in fact will take away the disadvantages of any birth or any social status for that matter. Yeah, continue, Prabhu.
There are 10 different offenses in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. To chant the holy name under the direction of a pure devotee is offenseless chanting. Offenseless chanting of the holy name of the Lord is transcendental, and therefore such chanting can at once purify one from the effects of all kinds of previous sins. This offenseless chanting indicates that one has fully understood the transcendental nature of the holy name and has thus surrendered unto the Lord.
One should ceaselessly chant the holy name. So, people in this world want to get rich, right? Generally, everybody, because money means you can achieve anything you want. You want a house, you want a car, you want a job, or you want a school, whatever. You can achieve many things with money. So people think, one of the main important criteria to be happy in this world is to earn a lot of money. But actually that money will be all gone at the end of death. So instead, having understood the importance of holy name, a sincere and a serious disciple will focus on the holy name. They want to get rich in holy name. So they want to acquire as much name as possible. Just like a businessman always thinks about how I can increase my wealth, a sincere student or a practicing devotee always tries to see how much name can I chant, because that will, want to become Nam Dhani. Nam Dhani means one who is rich in holy name. You, by your prarabdha karma, you may not become rich even though you wish to. You can never become Bill Gates, for example. But you have all the opportunity to get the richest in holy name. And that is far more powerful, far more beneficial. The benefit is going to continue beyond this life. So one should consider the fortune of chanting of the holy name, because that is the highest benefit one can achieve in this world. And that is completely free. No qualification. Anybody at any time can, in any way can chant. Right? So that is the main teaching of all the great sages, all the great rishis, all the characters of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? The best of the personalities of Srimad Bhagavatam are the Mahājanas, right? Now let's see a couple of verses on what Mahājanas say. Like Mahājana, like Yamaraj, what Yamaraj says about this. Okay. Yeah. So Yamaraj is speaking to his servants in this chapter. This is after Ajamila's, thing that happened, where Ajamila was attempted to be captured by Yamadutas, and Vishnudutas stopped them, and the Yamadutas get confused and they go back to their master, and there was a conversation, and during the conversation this verse is spoken. Yeah, you want to read, Prabhu, this?
Yes, Prabhu. Considering all these points, therefore, intelligent men decide to solve all problems by adopting the devotional service of chanting the holy name of the Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart and who is a mind of all auspicious qualities. Such persons are not within my jurisdiction for punishment. Generally, they never commit sinful activities, but even if by mistake or because of bewilderment or illusion, they sometimes commit sinful acts, they are protected from sinful reactions because they always chant the Hare Krishna mantra.
See the greatness of the holy name. This is spoken by the person who is in charge of the, punishment for the people, jivas of the material world. He's the main person, and he's a great devotee. And what did he say? Solve all problems. He mentioned multiple things. First of all, if you are chanting the holy name means you are intelligent. He said you are an intelligent person. Intelligent in terms of spiritual intelligence means he knows what is the right thing to do as a human being. So you are an intelligent, and you can solve all problems of life by adopting to chanting. Whose situation, this is about the Lord, and who is full of quality, auspicious qualities. And he clarifies that a person who chants the holy name is not within my jurisdiction for punishment. So as soon as you take to chanting, you are out of the jurisdiction of Yamaraj. You are not anymore, because you are now you are basically like he sees you as a co-devotee, right? So you are out of the jurisdiction. It doesn't mean one can take advantage of it, but this is the rule. And they never intentionally commit sinful activities, but by mistake, whatever is done in the past, either because of bewilderment or because of potency of the illusion, right? Even then, they will be protected from sinful reactions. Who is saying this? Yamaraj is saying, the in charge of punishment for sinful reactions is saying they will be protected from sinful reactions. Just like Krishna says, Aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masuchaha. Right? So just surrender unto me and I will take away all your sinful reactions. So similarly, devotees also proclaim the same. The in charge of punishment is proclaiming the same because they always chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So what is the practical lesson from this? We should always look for opportunity to get rich with the holy name. Chant the holy name every moment you have in your life. Never stop, cease to chant. That is the only thing that is going to save us in this life and the next, right? So these are the words of Mahajana, who actually knows what is religion and what is perfection, right? He knows how to perfect life. And he was the in charge of punishing the people of the material world. He's saying, you chant, you're out of my jurisdiction. You chant, you will be getting rid of all sinful reactions. And you are very intelligent because you are doing the most important thing, or the right thing. Yeah. So, and the other verses, actually, this is another great inspiration for chanting the holy name, right? This is after, almost Bhagavatam is ending, there is the expression of feelings of Mother Earth about the people of Kali Yuga. She says what exactly is the nature of the Kali Yuga people. She expresses this, right? Yeah. So how kings are busy conquering Mother Earth. Actually, Mother Earth laughs at them, Just see how these kings were actually playthings in the hands of death are desiring to conquer me, these foolish kings, right? And in this way, she expresses a lot of, I don't want to read all of this. So how different people, try to conquer. This is what is happening. This is the story of the material world, right? Everybody tries to conquer and acquire more and more material things. So she expresses all of that. They fight with each other, parents, children, everything. And, so there are these great devotees who save, but, most others are nonsense. And then, yeah, she expresses about various things. Please explain the difference. And then, this is the questions of Parīkṣit Mahārāja further to understand the nature of the people and what is the saving grace. And here is the description of what is the right, what is the nature of people of Satya Yuga and what is the process to adopt. So this is Treta Yuga and this is Dwapar Yuga. Yeah. In the age of Kali, this is about us. In the age of Kali, only 1/4 of the religious principles remain. That last remnant will continuously be decreased by the ever-increasing principles of irreligion and will finally be destroyed by the end of the Kali Yuga. Right? So this is the people, nature of the people, greedy, ill-behaved, merciless. Anyway, we'll continue. These are all descriptions of the people of Kali Yuga. Because of these bad qualities, human beings become short-sighted, unfortunate, gluttonous, lustful, and poverty-stricken. Women become unchaste, will freely wander from one man to the next. Anyway, this is cities will be. These are all things that are happening today, and it will only increase as time goes on. So these are all the qualities. Let's get back to the main lesson. Yeah. So here Bhumi also says, Bhumi herself says, she is also like a demigod, but she says by one's engagement in the process of demigod worship, austerities, breath control, compassion, yoga, breath control, bathing in holy places, strict vows, charity, and chanting of various mantras, one's mind cannot attain the same absolute purification as that achieved when the unlimited personality of Godhead appears within one's heart. So this is the worshipping Lord is the most important thing. That's what he's trying to say. My dear King, the personality of Godhead is the ultimate controller. He is the supreme soul and the supreme shelter of all beings. When meditated upon by those about to die, he reveals to them their own eternal spiritual identity. He reveals to them, Lord, as Paramatma will reveal to them. And then, my dear King, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. What is that? Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. All these qualities are negative about Kali Yuga. But there is one good thing. What is that? Just by chanting the holy name, you can get rid of the material bondage. This is the only thing. There is no other way in Kali Yuga. Because that is clarified in the next verse. Because there is no other way for Kali Yuga. That is clarified in this. Why? It says, whatever result was obtained in Satya Yuga by meditating on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, and in Dwapara Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, can be obtained in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So, chant with full attention. This is the, if there is one thing we learn from today's class, that is this, that we should, just like people want to become rich in material world, material things, we should convert that to holy name. We should try to become rich in holy name. Nam Dhani. Nam Dhani means one who is rich in holy name. This is the most beneficial for us. Yeah, slight distraction. I hope any questions on this, on what we discussed so far.
Just a small realization. My Guru Mahārāja, he always says that there are so many different shows which happens, like become a millionaire, Kaun Banega Karodpati, and so on. He says we also have a great opportunity to become Karodpati simply by chanting and glorifying. So why don't we take this advantage? And this Karodpatis who are seen around, they are only for this life. Next life, they may be beggars or they may be a cat or rat. But this, our path is so sublime that we continue to be Karodpati all through our births, if at all we are going to take birth. If not, we go back and we are always, Karodpati, even with the Lord. So he says, why not take advantage? And this advantage is taken only in this human form.
Yeah, this is the true richness. This is the true richness. Short term. Yeah. Let's read the next one. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
yeah. Okay, let's read. Etavatalam nanusuchitena Etaram prarthayato bhute Shangri Desate Indi So Voice from someone.
Prabhuji, we cannot hear you. Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody should go on mute.
Disturbance there is, yes.
Yeah, we are hearing some noise, extra screeching sound. Yeah, please read.
It is now ascertained that he, the personality of Godhead, is unlimited and there is none equal to him. Consequently, no one can speak of him adequately. Great demigods cannot obtain the favor of the goodness of fortune even by prayers, but this very goodness renders service unto the Lord, although he is unwilling to have such service.
Here multiple things are spoken. So now he's glorifying the Supreme Lord. So first thing he mentioned is no one is equal to him. So no one really understands his greatness, right? Including the greatest demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. And great demigods like Lord Brahma, they cannot obtain the favor of goddess fortune by even offering prayers. But what is the position of that goddess of fortune? She herself is very happy to render service to the Supreme Lord, and which is something that Lord himself is not very willing to have such service. Lord is unwilling. Mother Lakshmi wants to serve him, but there are all these great demigods who are even trying to please that mother who is trying to attempt to serve the Lord, right? So that is how great the Lord is. Yeah.
The personality of Godhead, or the Parameshwara, Parabrahman, according to the Shrutis, has nothing to do. He has no equal, nor does anyone excel him. He has unlimited potencies, and his every action is carried out systematically in his natural and perfect ways. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is full in himself, and he has nothing to accept from anyone else, including the great demigods like Brahma. Others ask for the favor of the goddess of fortune, and despite such prayers, she declines to award such favors, but still she renders service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although he has nothing to accept from her. The Personality of Godhead in his Garbhodakshaya Vishnu features begets Brahma, the first created person in this material world. From his navel, lotus stem, and not in the womb of the goddess of fortune, who is eternally engaged in his service. These are some of the instances of his complete independence and perfection.
Yeah. So whatever we discussed in this translation was, elaborated by Srila Prabhupada here. So Lord is always independent. He is perfect, and nobody can be equal to Lord, even including the demigods or all who are trying to even get the favors of Mother Lakshmi, who wants to be simply a servant of Lord. So now he glorified. So he's just setting the context, right? So he first spoke about his own disqualification to speak Srimad Bhagavatam, and how he got qualification by hearing from a great devotee, and he got the qualification to speak about it. That is the only qualification he has. And then he glorified Lord as somebody who has no equal. And because Lord is so great, the continuation, next statement is, even I am completely disqualified to glorify him. That is what he's going to speak. Atapi yat padanaka swatnaka vasrutsam. Okay. One person has to mute. I don't know who is he. Whenever you're speaking, there is some screeching sound. Sorry. Jagad Virincho Pahritahanabhi Shesham punati anyatamo mukundat konamaloke bhagavad-padartha. Yeah, I think most likely it is Sakhi Priya Mataji. Yeah.
Okay. Who can be worthy of the name of the Supreme Lord but the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, Brahmaji, Sri Krishna. Brahmaji collected the water emanating from the nails of his feet in order to award it to Lord Shiva as a worshipful welcome. In this very water, the Ganges is purifying the whole universe, including Lord Shiva.
So you see here, all the Vedic literature was compiled by who? Vedavyas, right? He also compiled Shiva Puran, Vishnu Puran, all the Puranas. And he finally compiled this Srimad Bhagavatam, the summum bonum of all the Vedic literature. And in this verse, what is he clarifying? Who is the author of all the scriptures, including the Shiva Puran and Devi Puran, everything, right? So what is he saying? Who can be worthy of the name of Supreme Lord but the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna? He says Sri Krishna is the highest. Second, Brahmaji collected the water emanating from the nails of his feet in order to award it to Lord Shiva as a worshipful welcome. Lord Brahma, who is born of the navel of Garbhodaksa Vishnu, when he welcomes Lord Shiva, he offers the water that has washed the feet of Lord. That is the Mother Ganga that flows in the material world. This very water is purifying the whole universe, including Lord Shiva. He holds that water, which is emanating. That is the reason for Lord Shiva holding the water on his head, because that is coming from the lotus feet of the Lord Narayana or Lord Krishna. So very clearly one can understand the relation between Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna here in this verse by the author of all the Vedas, right? So one should not be confused about the position of Lord Shiva versus Lord Krishna. Lord Shiva, by the way, is not he is an expansion of Krishna only, and in that way in a way he is Krishna, because he is an expansion of the potency of Krishna himself. But he exhibits less capabilities and he has a specific, role to play. They're all servant gods. Starting with Balaramji, everybody is a servant god, because they're all manifest as the expansions or, expansions of the expansions to serve the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna. Narayana, Chaturvyuha, and then Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksa Vishnu, Lord Shiva. All these are all various incarnations, but they're all servant gods. They're not God. God is only one, and that is Lord Krishna. Yeah. So here, we can clearly understand the position difference between Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna. Shamukund Prabhu, is this a good verse for you? You have a question a long time ago.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, please read. I think that's the reason you are reading this. Krishna arranges, inspires.
Yeah.
At the right time.
So the conception of many gods in the Vedic literatures by the ignorant is completely wrong. The Lord is one without a second, but he expands himself in many ways, and this is confirmed in the Vedas. Such expansions of the Lord are limitless, but some of them are the living entities. Some of them are the living entities. The living entities are not as powerful as the Lord's planetary expansions, and therefore there are two different types of expansions. Lord Brahma is generally one of the living entities, and Lord Shiva is the medium between the Lord and the living entities. In other words, even demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, who are the chief amongst all demigods, are never equal to or greater than Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, and all powerful demigods like Brahma and Shiva are engaged in the worship of Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. Therefore, who can be more powerful than Mukunda, Lord Krishna, to be factually called the Supreme Person of Godhead? The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Ji, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva are not independently powerful. They are powerful as expansions of the Supreme Lord, and all of them are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, and so also are the living entities. There are 4 sects of worshipful devotees of the Lord, and the chief amongst them are the Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya, and descending directly from the Lord Brahma. Lord Shiva and the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, respectively. Besides the above mentioned 3 Sampradayas, there is the Kumara Sampradaya, descending from Sanat Kumara. All of the 4 Sampradayas are still scrupulously engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord to date, and they all declare that Lord Krishna, Mukunda, is the Supreme Person of Godhead, and no other personality is equal to him or greater than him.
So all Vaishnava Sampradayas accept Lord Krishna as the Supreme Lord. Yeah. So very clear, right? Very clear. The words of Vyasadeva have to be taken in totality. Yeah. So he glorified Lord Krishna as one who is, who has no equal. Yeah. Now, this is the last version of this section. Yatranukurta sahasaiva dhira vyapo yadeha dishu sangam udam vrajanti tatparamaham shamantyam yashmin ahimso pashama swadharma Please read.
Self-controlled persons who are attached to the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, can all of a sudden give up the world of material attachment, including the gross body and subtle mind, and go away to attain the highest perfection of the renounced order of the life, by which non-violence and renunciation are consequential.
So those people who are dedicated to Lord or attached to the Lord, they can easily give up attachment to material things. So this is, the attachment to Lord will automatically result in detachment from the material world. It's a consequential product. So including gross body and settlement, and go away to obtain the highest perfection of renounced order of life, by which non-violence and renunciation are consequential. We don't work for anything else independently. Just by focusing on attachment to Krishna, all the other perfections are naturally achieved. So what is the highest perfection of renounced order is to actually develop attachment to Krishna. That's what it is. Yeah. Please read.
Self-control is actually achieved not by artificial stopping the senses from the material enjoyment, but by becoming factually attached to the Supreme Lord by engaging one's unalloyed senses in the transcendental service of the Lord. The senses cannot be forcibly curbed, but they can be given a proper engagement. Purified senses, therefore, are always engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. This perfectional stage of sense engagement is called Bhakti Yoga. So, those who are attached to the means of Bhakti Yoga are factually self-controlled and can all of a sudden give up their homely or bodily attachment for the service of the Lord. This is called Paramhamsa stage.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Those who are attached to the means of Bhakti Yoga are factually self-controlled and can all of a sudden give up homely or bodily attachment for the service of the Lord. Right? So they can give up this is actual Paramhamsa state. Right? Yeah. So we understand Hamsa. Hamsa or swans can separate milk and water. That is the capability. So similarly, a Paramhamsa devotee can clearly distinguish between what is Maya service and what is Krishna service. Yeah. So here Prabhupada defines these words that are described here, right? Non-violence. What is the true meaning of non-violence and what is true meaning of renunciation? Let's understand.
Real non-violence means freedom from envy. In this world, everyone is envious of his fellow being. But a perfect Paramhamsa, being completely given up to the service of the Lord, is perfectly non-envious. He loves every living being in relation with the Supreme Lord. Real renunciation means perfect dependence on God. Every living being is dependent on someone else because he is so made. Actually, everyone is dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord. But when one forgets his relationship with Lord, he becomes dependent on the condition of the material nature. Renunciation means renouncing one's dependence on the condition of the material nature and thus becoming completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Real independence means complete faith in the mercy of the Lord without dependence on the condition of matter. This Paramahamsa stage is the highest perfectional stage in the Bhakti Yoga, the process of devotional service to the Supreme Lord.
Yeah. So Prabhupada's definitions you will not find anywhere else.
Amazing. Yes.
Amazing definitions. So here first he clarified why a devotee is non-envious of others. Generally, people in this world are envious of each other. If somebody has something better than us, one becomes envious. Why a devotee is non-envious? Anybody want to answer?
He sees Paramatma in everybody's heart.
That is a yogi. Yogi is also good. Okay.
The desire of every devotee is to please the Lord. So if someone can,
Yeah.
everybody's aligned to the same goal.
Yeah. Yeah. So to a devotee, he treats Lord as a loving father. When Lord is a loving father, what happens to all the people of this world? Who are they to Lord?
Children.
Children. So everybody in this world is like your brother and sister. Naturally, if how do you believe? Will you have envy towards your brothers? Not, right? Because he sees everybody as a co-brother, a co-servant of the Lord, or let's say, children of the God. Naturally, and because he wants to please Lord, he wants to make Lord as happy. He's a devotee. He's trying to surrender himself for the pleasure of the Lord. So naturally, he will never never feel envy for other children of Lord, because that is never pleasing to the Lord, like Chaitanya Sundara Prabhu mentioned. So first, primary understanding that his relation with his father and understanding what pleases his father. Right? It's 2 levels. So because of that, naturally he is not envious. Because first of all, envy means what? Envy means generally people are envious of material things. First of all, he is not even a sincere or a serious devotee, is not infatuated with material things of people around him. Right? If your brother has a better home, what is wrong? That is how he sees. He sees Krishna has given him, and that is meant for his service to Krishna. That is how he sees. Right? You see that. So whatever objects others have, they're all meant for service of Krishna by that particular brother, or your co-devotee, right? Or co-devotee, or a co-person, or anybody. So they're all, whatever positions everybody has, they see that as objects of service to Lord, in the service of the Lord. So there is no question of becoming, oh, you have this thing. No, there is no question of becoming envious of anybody's positions. There are
Also,
different
Prabhuji,
ways. One is yogi's way of seeing. One is, just dhyana yogi's way. The Paramatma that you mentioned, that is that is yogi's way. How about a karma yogi? How does he see? He sees that everybody's positions are result of his own prarabdha karma. And
correct. Yes.
so I have nothing to give or take from his own positions. It is his karma. Today he has a good car. Tomorrow he may have nothing. So I don't want to deal, or I don't want to feel envy about anybody's thing, because that is, every person is his own make and model. So there is no comparison. So that is a karma yogi's way of seeing, right? Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu. Sorry, I cut you.
Yeah, I think you nailed it out. Just the karma yogi way of looking at things is something which I can relate to, because we all feel that, okay, if that person is more richer, more successful, has more fame, probably he has served the Lord in a much more opulent way in his previous life. We might have not really attained that stage.
Yeah.
So accordingly, he has got that advantage, and he has come with all that boon. So it should motivate us to look at him and feel that, okay, let me also attain that state. Not primarily to get more material things, but let me serve him so selflessly that I become more prominent in the eyes of the Lord.
Perfect. Yeah. So everybody's positions are all given by Lord according to his whatever he is worth, right? So there is never comparison. In fact, one should be motivated, especially by looking at the devotional qualities of the people. It's not about the material qualifications of the people. Is this, is that? That is not even worth discussing among devotee community, right? So we should focus on the devotional qualities of the people, right? How they're able to, how they are so focused on chanting, how they chant so sincerely every day. What can I learn and what can I adopt in my life so that I can please the Lord? So that is, we should be actually, in those areas, we should be greedy. There is nothing wrong, because without greed, you cannot achieve anything in this world, either material or spiritual. So one should rather be greedy on the right things. One should be always anchoring how I can, improve my chanting, how I can render my service more purely, much better way to please the Lord. That is how we should meditate always.
Just to give an example, I don't know whether it's the right example, but whenever I look at Amrendra Prabhu, I feel, how can he give such fantastic, inspiring classes? And probably not even 1.1% I can do like what he does. Then I feel that, okay, probably he should have been a great devotee of the Lord, or he has been sent by the Lord, to uphold us and make us progress in spiritual life. So it's, yeah, as you rightly mentioned, it's more of taking the inspiration and getting motivated and making them the role models to progress better in spiritual life.
Because if you are pleased with their association, Krishna will be happy actually. Krishna will be happy. If anytime we feel envious of a devotee, Krishna is first of all not very happy with you for your attitude. So always feel, so we should be grateful to Krishna that you have the opportunity of this person to, to also have the association. So we should feel like that. Thank you, Krishna, for giving the association of a devotee who is very inspiring to me. And it is helping me in realizing my own connection with you. That is how we should internally feel. That is the right way of seeing things. Yeah, I think you are doing the right thing. So the second one is the non-enviousness. The second one is renunciation. So true renunciation is not about giving material things. Why giving up material things is not renunciation? If I ask you, anybody want to answer? If somebody renounces his family, car, that's not true renunciation. Why?
We don't want anything.
Exactly. First of all, you have nothing you came with nothing, you are going with nothing. So you have nothing to claim, first of all. So that's not at all a renunciation. But true renunciation is one's full dependence on Krishna, understanding that he only depends on Krishna, nothing else. Right? If I am having a job, I should see that it is not my company that is paying me. It is Krishna's mercy through that company. Always seeing Krishna's hand in everything. That is like complete dependence on Krishna. If you lose a job, if Krishna, that is what is, in my fate, yes, let it be. I'm not too remorseful. Krishna has a way to fix it. So I don't get too bothered, panicked about any material situation. Just like Prahlad Maharaj, right? Krishna puts me in fire, let it be. What is in my hand, what is the thing that I can control is always chant the holy name. He just focused on what is in his hand, right?
Even Parīkṣit Mahārāja, right? In the previous classes we learned, right? When he got the curse from Brāhmaṇa boy, he took that as, as that also as mercy of Krishna, right? He didn't ask to be protected when he was in mother's womb. Krishna protected. So that was Krishna's direction. This is also Krishna's direction.
Exactly. Perfect. Thank you. And also when he was not at all focused on his death, his focus is just hearing the holy name and absorbing in Krishna Katha, Srimad Bhagavatam. He has no fear of anything. Right? Totally. So he used the time in the best possible way in the last 7 days of his life. So that is true renunciation. Completely surrender and depend on Krishna. And everything that is arranged in my life is by the mercy and causeless mercy of Krishna. Even though it is, materially painful or disturbing, that is what is needed for my purification. That is why Krishna lovingly arranged this situation for me. That is how a sincere devotee sees.
Correct me, Prabhuji. Renunciation sometimes also builds false ego. That, okay, look at me, I renounced everything. Now I'm independent. So the humility which has to be built is actually lost. Is that the right understanding?
Yeah, but the understanding of, it is, if it is false renunciation, if it is false renunciation, yes. False renunciation means, see, I'm able to give up my family and now I'm a brahmachari. I don't have, I'm such a renunciant that I could give up my family and my job, my education, and completely, surrender my life to Krishna. If you think like that, that is false renunciation. But true renunciation is actually full dependence on Krishna only and nothing else, as per this definition, right? So in a way that renunciation is not even renunciation, it's a false renunciation, the one that you described. So there is no other consideration other than the fact that I now completely depend on Krishna. That is true renunciation. Everything else is not true renunciation. That may be just an external show. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, this purport is, I think it's very insightful, because first time I could really understand who a Paramahamsa is and also what renunciation is.
Yeah. So let's read this one last verse. This is setting the tone for, or maybe you can read it next week. That's fine. Because that we'll begin this, Bhagavatam story. Okay. Anything else? Anybody? Any questions or comments?
Question, Prabhu.
Mhm.
So where we talked about chanting, so in ISKCON, chanting is the number one stuff. Like when we tell others, okay, you're supposed to chant, when they ask a question why you are supposed to chant, we say, okay, it cleanses the heart and whatever our answers, right? But what I feel is, I myself am not able to give a convincing answer why you should chant. I mean, we have all those theoretical answer when they ask the question, okay, if you chant for so many years, what happens? Externally, you don't see anything, right? How do you, like, for material stuff, you tell someone, okay, you work hard, study hard, you get something. You can see that physically, right? For as of chanting, you will not be able to measure it. For, okay, you have been chanting, okay, what happened? Right? Like, how do you convince someone that
Yeah,
there is a change, but I don't know what, I can't say what is the change, but I know there is a change, but I don't know to
we all
express it.
have the experience. I mean, imagine your mind before becoming Krishna conscious. It's wandering, desiring so many things, always, angry, greedy. So many, influences are always there. And as soon as mind, the holy name entered the mind, now it is, the whole perception has changed. So it's first thing is, if you are fat, for example, if somebody is fat, within a couple of months of effort, he can reduce his weight. That is the nature of physical change. A physical change can be obtained in matter of days. Mental change or subtle changes, if you want to change your attitude, or or maybe fine-tune your material intelligence, that takes a lot more effort than an effort to change your physical, attributes, right? So to control our mental things or subtle material things is little more harder, because they are subtle and difficult to control, right? Mind and intelligence. Now, what to speak of soul, purifying the soul, that is even more subtler, right? So, and you have taken, probably millions of lives as a living entity in the material existence, and have gone through so much, and there is so much accumulated karma. It will take its own time to really manifest like a pure devotee, right? So those ecstatic symptoms, but what we know is from the history of great devotees, how, what was the realization of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, or the experiences of the Shad Goswamis or Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We know from the history what Bhagavatam can do, or what Bhakti can do, from the stories of Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj. We may not immediately see, but we know, just like, we believe certain things based on the experiments of Einstein or in science, right? So similarly, we have evidence from the experience of great devotees of the past that this works and this is the best. Both facts are there. So it is, and we have in our own experience to some extent a level of purification. Of course, some people who I heard that some people can really develop if they really do this very sincerely. The problem is our mind is not focused on attaining Krishna. That is, our mind is not focused on material things. That is what differentiates different devotees. It's not the same experience of, it's not that everybody around me do not have great relation of Krishna. There are devotees among us who are completely surrendered already. It's just that we are not able to see because we haven't gone too far. So it's not, the experience of each individual is very different, Matas. I have seen devotees who are within a couple of years have completely surrendered. With my own eyes, I have seen. I could just, I'm nowhere near them. And they completely surrendered. And anytime I speak to them, I can see how vibrant they are. So effect is different on each individual because everybody's background is different. It depends on how far are you in your own evolution as a soul and how sincere you're taking. Prabhupada promises, you do one life perfectly, I can take you back to Godhead. But how much faith do we have in that path, right? So, irrespective of where we are, we know from the history of great devotees' life that this works perfectly and there is no better process for this. That is in the writings of, great scriptures and the experience of great devotees, right? Yeah, so this is very subtle aspect. So it's not as easy to explain. People have to have the mercy of Lord and devotees to actually, make progress in this. So yeah, it's not easy to explain. It's not a physical thing. Oh, you are like this. They can show in two pictures, right? One very fat and one very thin. And within
So
it,
there is no physical. You
yeah, there
can't
is no
say,
physical
okay,
thing.
I can't say what changed, but I mean, it is basically faith, right? Again, Krishna conscious, everything is faith, even chanting is faith. So
No,
based on faith,
it begins with faith, but it becomes an experience.
Yeah.
See, like when Goswamis, Rupa Goswami says, what great power is in this two syllables, Krishna, that my tongue, as soon as I speak the two letters, Krishna immediately dances and my throat chokes. He's not speaking, just imaginative words of description there. He's actually speaking out of his experience. We may not be there, but that is the potential. We are not there. That is the only thing that is differentiating us from the fact. It is a process, and scientifically it is explained. We studied Nectar of Devotion. Ado Shraddha, it begins, Bhajan Kriya, and then Anardhanavritti is a long period. That's where we are stuck, and that's what we are thinking, okay, I see no end here, right? So it's a long process for, masses of devotees, but there are people who have crossed it and, have gone to the bhava stage of devotion and, prema stage of devotion. We can see some very advanced devotees within our own ISKCON or outside also. We can see from their own, life and behavior we see how pure they are. It's evident in their own in their behavior and example, the way they surrender, the way they completely surrender for the pleasure of Krishna and their spiritual master, right? So it works. It's just that it is, first thing is we can see that it's working for most, and why it's not working. And actually we should sincerely pray to Krishna and work on it. Actually, if it is not real, we are not really seeing a lot of improvement. that is upon us. It's not that, okay, we came to Krishna consciousness, we have now started chanting 16 rounds somehow or other, and we are on our pathway back to Krishna. It is all automatic. It is only when we actually exert ourselves in this path, right? And purify ourselves and, render sufficient service and qualify ourselves to go back to Godhead, that we achieve perfection of life. There is a lot of work still to be done by us on a daily basis. Actually, it's something that we need to do on a daily basis.
And again, I don't know if you also mentioned that we are purifying the soul, but actually the soul is always pure, right?
Yeah.
We
I mean, when I say purifying the soul, it is the coverings of the soul. It's like, it's like a diamond. Soul is the diamond, but we are not experiencing its full shine because it's covered by the illusions, right? So but actually we should take it as a challenge. Why am I not really getting what Prabhu Goswami is experiencing? And we should sincerely work towards that. That is every day we should pray, beg. Even Brahma, for his creation, he had to meditate for so long. Nothing is going to be easy in this world. So we should on a daily basis take inspiration from great devotees and work sincerely towards perfecting our life on a daily basis. Okay. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. I'll just take the attendance. Give me 1 second.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I'll leave Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhu, I noted you.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Anandram Prabhu? Oh, 2-3 people left already. I don't know if he was there. Anyone knows if he was there? Oh, I think they are not there. Devi Radhika Mataji? Not there. Kaustubh Prabhu? You are there, I think. Rani Mataji was there. Sita Priti Mataji?
She left to India, Prabhuji.
Oh, she left to India?
Yeah.
Okay.
For a month, I think, Prabhuji.
Okay, yeah. Priti Mataji was there. Kalindi Priti Mataji was there. Chandana Mataji, were you there? I think I saw you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Nitin Prabhu was there. Sri Vidya Mataji? Yeah, not there. Jai Shri Mataji was there. Chaitanya Sundar Prabhu was there. Shamukund Prabhu?
Yes.
Siddhartha Mataji. Sakhi Priya Mataji. Navadvi Prabhu. Pranasaki Mataji? It's not there. Sridhar Gopal Prabhu. Chandra Prabhu. Shivacharan Prabhu? You're there, right?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, yeah.
Dhanishri Mataji?
He was there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare